The new year is coming. So let me ask you something. Are your goals the same ones you made last year and maybe the year before that? If you're a midlife woman navigating menopause, stubborn weight gain, bone loss, and low energy, starting over every January isn't the problem. The plan is. Faster Way isn't a quick fix or a crash diet. It's a lifestyle built for the menopausal body, one that needs protein to protect muscle, strength training to support bone density, and smart nutrition to keep your metabolism working with you, not against you. Because this isn't about looking good in a dress for one event. It's about staying strong, mobile, and independent for decades to come. I'm not coaching you for your 40s. I'm coaching you so you're not in a nursing home at 80. If this is the year you stop chasing skinny and start building strength for life, welcome to Faster Way. Check the show notes for more details. Health, wellness, fitness, and everything in between. We're removing the taboo from what really matters in midlife. I'm your host, Michelle Folan, and this is Asking for a Friend. Today's episode is all about what it really takes to stay strong, emotionally and physically as we age. My guest, Eric North, also known as the Happiness Warrior, is 61 and living proof that longevity isn't just about adding years. It's about adding energy, clarity, and purpose to those years. Eric is a wellness speaker and coach who created the Happiness Workout, a simple daily practice that blends breathwork, functional movement, and mindset training. His philosophy challenges the idea that aging equals decline. Instead, he shows how emotional resilience, presence, and consistent rituals can help us feel more powerful in midlife than we ever did in our 30s. In this conversation, we dig into mental fitness, stress resilience, rebuilding confidence, and what it means to age with intention, not fear. Eric offers practical tools you can use today to move out of stagnation and back into momentum. This is a grounded, inspiring look at how to live better, stronger, steadier, and more joyful in the second half of life. Eric North, welcome to Asking for a Friend.
Well, thank you for having me, Michelle. I've been looking forward to this all week, and here we are, and I'm ready to go.
Well, I get publicists that reach out every once in a while, and I saw this one and I said, ooh, this is one I'm going to grab for sure. But I want to start first, Eric, with a little bit about your career path. How did you end up where you are today?
Oh, I guess, well, I'm 61, so I've had a lot of years. So I can tell you, I kind of divide my life up into decades, and how each decade is really another story in my life. But I say 15 years ago or so, I had gone from a typical career path, just office stuff, and I became a personal trainer. I went to the point where I had a job that it was a defense contractor, and they had lunch catered every day, big fattening lunches and brownies, because they didn't want you to leave the office ever, and they expect us to work Saturday and Sunday too. And some of them were like, "Yeah, I had to cut my wife's anniversary trip off so I could work tonight." Yeah. And they all were unhealthy. They all were always screaming at each other every time we had a meeting. And I had this one lady that worked there with me, and both of us were always sort of horrified by the whole place. Okay. And it was just the point where I had reached the point in my career where I had an office and mahogany furniture and a window on 15th Street downtown. But it was at the point where I can't do this every day for the rest of my life. And I thought, what my real passion in life is fitness. I'm sort of a semi-competitive athlete, but mostly the competition's for me. I have an instilled value system to always do my best, which is just how I'm wired. So I said, I have what I need right now to survive and saved up. I can do something different. And I really thought I want to be a personal trainer. And that was kind of like, I really wanted to do good in the world as a personal trainer, not just going to the gym and having a client every day. I wanted to make an impact. And I started doing it, and I realized that while there were some really great benefits to being a trainer, it was also kind of limiting as far as where I wanted to go in my life. And so I went to another career into real estate because I'm always really easygoing with people. I can really make someone feel comfortable right away and feel like I'm listening to them. And I always feel like there's a little trick to that. But the trick is just to be kind and confident and empathetic. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And so I did that for 10 years. And then then I became sort of a typical stressed out high achiever. And I was like, I finally have energy. I had so much energy my entire life. But in my early 40s, I started to feel like I was hitting a wall. And I didn't know what it was. This is a time we didn't have testosterone clinics. That there weren't very, I never heard of one. I didn't know what that was. And a friend of mine said, my doctor said I had low T, but he didn't really do anything about it. You're just getting old. I was in my 40s. I was in my early 40s. I wasn't old at all. I was certainly not, I didn't feel old. And I have a lot of very old friends. I've lived in this city most of my life. And an old friend of mine called me up out of the blue and said, back when we used to make phone calls, hey, I haven't talked to you in a long time, but I just went to this clinic in Florida and they do legally prescribed testosterone therapy. And I think that would really be great. You're the kind of person that would be really good for you because you'd thrive. And I was like, okay, well, I'll take your advice. And I started therapy. And I wouldn't say anything about me changed personally, but I felt like a new human. He was a new man or what. I felt like I'd renewed myself very well. And I felt that drive and energy that I had when I was in my 20s, I felt again in my 40s. And then I have a way of getting to know people. So I got to know the person that helped me there pretty well. And he said, I talk to the boss about you all the time, the owner of the clinic, and he wants to work with you and help me set up another clinic in DC. And I was like, well, that's a big step now. I'm doing really well in real estate. I have a really good, I'm well known in town. Do I want to start? And you have to do it full time. Anything you do in life, you have to give everything to. And I said, well, do I want to start a business? I said, well, my dad had a business growing up, so I had a lot of entrepreneur kind of knowledge back from my teenage years. So I started this clinic and it became really a passionate thing in my life. I'm really helping people live better lives, live healthier lives. And I have to be also a good example. I'm a corny person. I like being a good example. I like knowing that what I'm doing, I have integrity and honesty in my life. And it's fine. So I became kind of the good example. I kind of shamelessly used my body a lot just to promote in ads and stuff back then. It was worthwhile doing. And as the business matured, I was able to step away from that part of it and just let other people manage it and run it for me and create jobs. And then I was at the point where I was having a good time once in a while going to conferences in my business area. But I was like, what am I doing with my life? I still have something higher that I need to do, something more powerful and personal that I need to bring out of myself. And my best friend for 25 years said, everyone's always so inspired when they're around you. They always feel good. You lift everyone up. And whether you're in a taxi or in a hotel lobby or just strangers on the street, they always feel good. You'd be the best motivational speaker. Well, of course, my best friend's telling me I'll be the best. And I just started thinking about this. And then at 50, I started my first Instagram account, which was Redefining 50. That was what it's called. Because I was determined that I was going to be a different 50 than you see typically, but probably very similar to yourself. You just decided that this wasn't what I was going to do in my life. I wasn't going to get old. Rather going to just find ways to revitalize myself and help others. Yeah. That's really what it's about. So that started me off, and I did pretty well with that. And then I hooked up with a publicist who started me as the happiness warrior. He said, I've never talked to anyone and been so sure in my life of pronouncing this on you. And I said, well, that kind of fits to me. It feels good. I don't feel embarrassed by it all. I feel like actually it's empowering. So I became the happiness warrior. And I'd say it makes me happy to have an impact on other people's lives that's positive. And that's really what it is. And I don't like to live in a space of negativity. And I always tell them, I do a lot of things out loud. I say a lot of things to myself out loud. I don't know if you do that or not, but I say, I have a morning affirmation, but I also say to myself, I will never live in fear. I will not let fear be a part of my life. That's self-created. So I can't be afraid. And I've always been sort of like, what's next? Let's just go, Yeah. So that's where I am. Yeah. It's a long story, but
no, I let you talk. I let you talk because I think this is a nice way to kind of launch into this topic, because I just put out a story yesterday about living big. Quit thinking small, live big.
Yeah.
And I'm 61 like you are.
Oh, you are? Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not finished yet.
No.
And I have lots of clients that are not finished yet.
We're never finished.
And I think there's this one little piece that's missing is, are we satisfied with life? And so I love what you had to say. It's like you still felt like you had more to do. And you didn't know exactly what it was, but you went after it anyway.
Yeah.
And I love that. I think that is, if I could bundle this whole topic up into with a little bow, that would be it. And so you talk about aging with purpose instead of fear. How did your perspective on aging shift between 40 and 60?
Well, I've realized that I can't get away on my looks anymore. So I have to. Okay, that's in the past, and that's a different time in my life. And it was a happy time, and I used to compete on stage in bodybuilding and men's physique shows too. So I was in good shape for well into my 50s. And now at 61, I really have to really work a little. I don't have to work. I wouldn't say the time is in the gym is like hours, but I'd say the way I work now is very efficiently the way I work out. And so that's kind of there's so many good things we can still do at this age, and I feel like our lifespans can expand, but they can, and that's why I own a longevity clinic too, to help people maximize the good productive years of their life and increase that.
All right. I have to make a comment about the longevity clinic because I talk a lot about hormones on my podcast.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And I think it's something that maybe women may not be having that conversation necessarily with their partners, but it is really important that men also keep that in check.
Yes.
Because if your partner is 40 or 50 and falling asleep at 7 o'clock at night and doesn't have energy, and I mean, certainly we need to back everything up with good lifestyle.
Yes.
Right. And hormones aren't going to solve all your problems, right? It's a piece of the puzzle. And I say the same thing about peptides, but I just think that sometimes women think about ourselves taking hormones, but we forget about our guys.
Yeah.
That they need hormones too.
I think most of the trouble in the world is from men with low testosterone who don't realize it. We tend to say, oh, that guy's really crazy and he's all raging. But the guy has a very low, I can guarantee you from being in this business for a long time, I can guarantee you that raging idiot like that you see on a TikTok video or somewhere probably has a very low testosterone and high estrogen imbalance. See, and the world is becoming more imbalanced as far as hormonally too. I think we're seeing children with much younger puberty, and a lot of things are happening where men especially are in an estrogenic world. We live in a very estrogenic world. There were a lot of things in our life that weren't around 50, 60 years ago, that we're breathing every day and that we're drinking every day.
Yeah, consuming.
And I think that caused, and I always tell the guys that call the clinic that I talk to every new patient before they come on. I want to make sure they're in the right place. And I always tell them, this is not your fault, but you're living in a world that's just, we've kind of messed it up a lot.
Yeah.
And I think this is a way to kind of protect ourselves a little bit by checking our hormones, but also those daily good, consistent habits that make it actually work and put it together.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, we've got to start with a healthy lifestyle first, and I don't want to make this
and mindset.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to make this about hormones, but I will say our young men are showing up with low T more and more these days too, and that's something that we really need to, get a handle on.
And the thing is, they do, when your hormones are like balanced, I'd say balanced, and only a few clinics can really do a good balancing. I don't think there's a lot of people, influencers out there that are selling peptides that are not for human consumption, and people selling this and selling that. Oh, you're gonna look so good. But it really comes down to having something really done with a sound medical team and understanding that, hey, this is not a magic bullet. This is something that's going to enhance your lifestyle if you have a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. But you say emotional resilience is as important.
Absolutely.
As these things, as cardio, as strength training for longevity. What does the research, or maybe even your own experience, show about that connection?
Well, I think when we have emotional resilience, it means we're able to. I have a kind of a core values list, and one of mine is have a ready for anything mindset. And that was all. This is all around when just before COVID, I started developing all this stuff. And when COVID hit and the world kind of dramatically went upside down, all of my core values were really helpful in navigating that time too. And I had two businesses. I'm an entrepreneur, and I feel like having emotional resilience is, tell yourself, first of all, when we talk to ourselves, everyone talks to themselves at some time in the day, is to use positive words. I'm not stupid. I'm not an idiot. I'm not incapable, but people use these things all the time. I'm so stupid. I'm so dumb. I'm so, emotional. And they tell you that they're emotional before they're emotional. And those are self-defeating ways of looking at ourselves. And once we change the dialogue with ourselves, then we become capable. Then we become confident. And a lot of what I do in life in general is I try. I don't know why I care so much, but I really want people to feel more self-confidence in themselves and see their value. Everyone has value.
Yeah.
Sometimes they've been tamped down so hard and trampled on that they're afraid to raise their voice or use their voice, but everyone has value. So, and that's what I try to do, is try to lift up the conversation so we're talking better to ourselves and then to others. So,
do you speak to yourself out loud?
First of all, I have two pit bulls. I talk to them all the time out loud. So I guess it's probably the same thing. But to myself, if I have a lot of self-discipline. So when my self-discipline feels like there's a crack in it, and I can talk myself out of doing something that's good for me, I tend to turn myself around and tell myself that this is the stupid way to talk, the stupid way to think about myself, and just not to say stupid, but I think it's a negative talk. Once I turn that conversation around in my head, I'm going to have an amazing time. I'm going to be really glad I did what I decided to do.
Yeah, I talk to myself.
You should.
Out loud.
I think talk to yourself. I think a lot of things like affirmations should be verbalized. I think. Yeah. I'm corny, and I say this all the time. I learned a long time ago. I try to be around happy people anyway, and I have I have three aunts that there's only one left alive, but three aunts that were very much in my upbringing, who were all three very hot. They're very magnetic, empathetic, strong. I mean, got things done, but we're always with this sort of protective aura around them of love and goodness. Don't mess with them, but they didn't want to live in that way. So they just and they taught me a lot, because I was a shy kid. I used to stutter. I was just insecure as a young kid. I was into a lot of books too. So I was just and they brought the best out of me, and they always made me feel like I had I had something bigger in my life ahead of me. And I think that they were my original happiness warriors.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's so neat. I love that.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I was very lucky to have them in my life. So
I love that. So why do you think so many people, maybe 40s, 50s, let's say 60s, because that's a large part of my audience, they lose life force? So I'm not talking because they're sick, but it's almost like that inertia that we lose some at points in our life where we just, I don't want to say we give up, but we just start to kind of look at life as, well, time to slow down.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I do understand how it happens, but I think it comes when people you feel like as you get older, you're more marginalized, and you feel more on the outside sometimes. And then you start, well, you're too old for doing that. You're too old for that. That's for young people, or this is, how do you even, and I'm around people of all ages all the time. I think I was riding my bike by a school today where the teachers were really animated and helping the kids. I thought, they get to be kids every day. The teachers get to be with young people every day, no matter how old they get, until they retire if they choose to. And how uplifting that must be, because then you're always in touch with what's going on in the world, because the young generation is going to lead the way someday.
Right. Yeah. And I wrote this down, and I'd love to get your insight into this. How can someone know if they're living in survival mode instead of vitality mode? What are the signs?
Saying no to everything. That's one thing I think right there. Just saying no before you even understand what you're doing. I think recognizing that no is fear-based, and then recognizing that fear is keeping you from living, is keeping all of us from living better lives. And It's just a matter of walking through a new doorway, opening a window. You find a new light somewhere, I think. And if you just, I also think that we live in a world right now where everything's delivered. Everything's delivered. You don't have to really leave your house.
Mm-hmm.
And right there, that's alienating. And then why do you bother? Then you say it's hard to make friends. It's hard to make friends when you're at home all the time and you're getting Amazon delivery every 10 minutes. It's hard.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot to be said just for social interaction.
Let's put a challenge out there, Eric.
Yeah.
To people listening to this. Over the holidays, into January, say yes to something that you have that pull to say no because you're more comfortable in your jammies and your slippers at 7:30 at night. But why not say yes? Say yes to that lunch date, or go shopping with a friend or whatever.
Yeah, I did something like that a couple of years ago, and I said, I don't like networking particularly, like meeting strangers and networking, and I don't have to sell myself to anyone. I'd rather just socialize and listen to people's ideas. It's more what I'm into, or listen to what they're thinking about. So I made a vow to myself that I would go out once a month to some type of like business social event. And it went pretty well. And then in March of 2020, it all stopped. Okay. So then everything ended, but that was my goal. And it went really well. I started doing it like in November. It was like November, December, January, February. And then all of a sudden it was all stopped. And that was kind of liberating because I was able to look at is there a fear of missing out? And I realized some of these things I'm not missing out on. I don't want to do. I don't enjoy. And the ones that I did enjoy, the people that I connected with, I continue to socialize with and collaborate with.
Yeah. And this isn't about me, but I do have a story for you. So last week I went to a fashion show. My daughter was in the fashion show, so she asked me to come and support, and I was happy to do that. And I went by myself. Now, 20 years ago, I've been like, I'm not going to that by myself. But I was like shaking everybody's hand at the table, networking, like, what do you do? All this, made a great business connection. I love doing that.
Yeah.
And I think we need to challenge ourselves sometimes to step out of our comfort zone, even at 61.
And go out by yourself and let people orbit around you.
Yeah.
Let your energy show who they are. And just for once, without having a sidekick all the time. I like having lots of friends around too. I'm very social,
me too.
But there's a value in going out. I go out by myself. I'll do business trips by myself quite often. And I'll just jump into the pool, basically, just see what happens.
Yeah.
And you find your way. And it's fun. And it's fun meaning I always think when I was younger, I backpacked through Europe a few times. It was cheap back then. You had a little backpack. I could travel for $10 a day. And I would just go whatever struck me that day. But every time I went somewhere, I would make a new pack of friends immediately. And then another new pack of friends somewhere else, another new pack of friends somewhere else. And it was just like, it was magical because you could just go anywhere and just meet people from all over the world.
It's so fabulous.
So long ago, I can't imagine myself doing that now, but it was.
Oh, sure, you can. Eric, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about the happiness workout. I want to talk about peptides for a moment. Yes, weight loss peptides are everywhere right now. And when used correctly, they're very effective and backed by years of clinical data. But peptides are not just about weight loss. There are peptides that support metabolic health, energy, muscle, your sleep, skin, hair, and long-term healthy aging, the things midlife women are actually struggling with. That's why I partnered with a trusted telemedicine resource. My clients were asking for more because eating well and lifting heavy sometimes still isn't enough in midlife. LEMD is physician-led, medically supervised, and uses an FDA-certified compounding pharmacy. No internet hacks, no self-prescribing, no guessing. This isn't about chasing a smaller body. It's about preserving muscle, protecting your metabolism, and supporting the body you want to live in for the next 20 to 30 years. If you want real options, not trends, you can learn more through the link in the show notes. All right, we are back. Before we took a break, I said I want to talk about the happiness workout, and I would love it if you would walk us through what it looks like in a real day for someone in their 50s or 60s who is in doing the happiness workout?
It's not complicated. There's no set lesson plan for it, other than the fact that when we started talking, I went off topic a little bit. Do I talk to myself? Yes, every morning, no matter what. I'm doing that. Like I said, I've been doing this from my aunts. Gave me this a long time ago, but also as a last 10 years, I've probably done this every single morning. I don't care where I am or what. I don't care how I sound. If someone could hear me in the next room, I say, "Good morning, Eric. It's going to be a great day." I say it as if I love that person that I'm talking to, and that right there is probably the most important part of the happiness workout, is giving yourself a daily affirmation that makes sense to you. It may not be the same that I do. It may be longer for someone, but for me, it's very simple. And I will tell you, anecdotally, I had a really crazy early flight one morning, and I couldn't get a car to go there, and everything. It was really a big mess. I totally forgot and I got to the airport, and the airport was screwed up. And I said to myself, I was in an elevator, I said, "Good morning, Eric. It's going to be a great day," because I'd forgotten like 3 hours later. And everything changed. Everything started going smoothly. The rest of the day was awesome, and everything was great. I had just forgotten. It wasn't a punishment. It was more a reminder to myself that I deserve to be happy every day. I deserve to have a great day every day. And everyone does.
You're manifesting.
I'm manifesting, and I don't like to use all that stuff so much as like, oh, you're going to make everything come to you. But when you manifest in sort of a pure form like that, you're doing something really good for yourself. I like to keep things very elemental and very simple, and just break it down so that everyone can understand that. And I think if you feel stupid doing that, that's the inner voice stopping us from doing something that's good for ourselves. And that happens a lot. I think the reason about being stagnated in life, that happens a lot. People feel like, I don't deserve something good. I don't deserve to be happy. So the first part of being a happiness workout is having the morning affirmation. I always say have some water in the morning to get started before you have coffee or anything. Don't go, I need coffee, some water, walk around a little bit. I unload the dishwasher in the morning. It's just a stupid thing. And I do some stretching, and I think it's very important to do stretching. I think shoulder stretching, if you wake up in the morning and you're anxious and nervous, if you do a good shoulder roll, it takes the anxiety level way down. And then that's scientific. That this and then the Washington Post just had an article about doing shoulder rolls and how they immediately lower blood pressure and heart rate.
Yeah.
And it's neat. You can do this at your desk. Yeah.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And then I think the other most important thing, even if it's cloudy out or if it's even raining can be kind of hard, but getting any kind of natural light early in the morning. And that's in the first couple hours of daylight is the best light for us emotionally. And what that does is it sets our rhythms in our brain better. So we're less depression, more uplifting day, happier spirit. And it really makes a big difference. If you can see the sunrise and your schedule allows it, get up and do it.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be sunny.
No. It can be a big, beautiful, cloudy morning. It doesn't matter, but have some way to appreciate. I think important thing, and another thing I said on another podcast, I think if you can go barefoot outside for a while, even if it's on a patio, do that too. It's harder in the winter, but it's possible. Anything's possible if we have the will for it. So
yeah,
anything where you're in touch with the earth. And actually, I think another thing that makes me really sad with people that I hear about is that our society's connection with nature is going down and down and down every year. So over 50% of people don't feel connected with nature. And I think, well, that's just sitting under a tree. Looking at this tree is wonderful. It's a beautiful thing that has life. So I'm kind of weird that way. I like to, there's a thing called forest bathing that they do, especially in Japan, where they just go into the forest and it feels like a massage almost, but it's mental.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Here's something else too. And I tell my clients, try to get in as much outdoor walking as you can.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's also good to unplug.
Yes.
Not, take the earbuds out and really connect with the sounds so that you're paying attention to what's going on around you.
Yep.
I think that's such great advice, right?
I have a set of headphones I can do for a podcast, but I rarely have any headphones on. I don't wear them to the gym. I used to wear them when I rode my bike. I ride my bike a lot. That's probably my primary mode of transportation. And I had a big accident on my bike and had to have my quads rebuilt. I had my headphones on. I'm not blaming that. But after that, I was like, I want to be present in my life when I'm out dog walking, riding my bike. anything that I'm doing that's active and I'm outside, I want to be present. And that has changed my whole mindset. I'm much more relaxed now. I'm much more, life just feels smoother when I don't have all those. Podcasts are awesome, but I don't need to walk around the neighborhood listening to a podcast. And I might see a neighbor I want to talk to too.
Yeah. And then you also blend breath work. So we talked about some functional movement.
Yeah.
And then mental training. What makes this mix especially powerful for aging bodies and brains?
Because it slows us down, lets us get into ourselves a little bit. Like you said, it helps us to deprogram all the negativity in the world around us. And I think that's very important. Nothing is going to hurt us unless we allow it to hurt us. And often our fears are ungrounded. So if you can go through, and then if we're happier, I'm trying to build more happy people. I'm trying to build people that are connected with a bond of happiness, like they have an inner happiness and they understand what that means. And I think that's what it is. So back to the Happiness Warrior workout, it's also having some kind of social activity, even if it's just going to the grocery store. Something where you're out in public and you get to smile at someone and say hello or help them with something. It makes a big difference in how the rest of our day goes. And then I'm always about movement. Movement is key to everything. So humans are supposed to move. That's how our bodies are built. When we sit, we get injured.
Yeah, and don't get me started on that.
I know I did my research on you too. And I saw how I really liked the way you look at life with your clients and the way you've been doing your peanut butter protein biscuit thing.
Yeah,
those look so good, but you were so into it, And I thought that's someone who's very authentic.
So I eat before I work out.
I do too.
I don't work out fasted. And there's two camps on that one. People that are like, oh no, you got to work out fasted. And I'm like, no, you don't. And
no, you don't. No, you don't. And I've been in high level workouts, and I used to be a personal trainer for a long time. Here's some big myths. Intermittent fasting doesn't matter. There's no, I thought it was very fishy when it became a big thing a few years ago. I thought to myself, there's something about people doing this. They're trying to be holier than other people. I think it's a lot of trying to be better than someone else. Oh, I can go 16 hours, 18 hours, without eating. I don't feel good when I don't eat.
I feel like shit.
In my morning walk, I just need water and some coffee, and I'll go out for a 2 or 3 mile fast walk. But to go to the gym, I have a home gym and I have an actual gym that I go to. When I'm in my home gym, I'm cooking something at the same time. I always have pineapple. I think pineapple is one of the best foods you can eat to work out because it helps with inflammation and digestion. And I think it's fine to have something carb-wise to kind of feel your workout, make you stronger. I think you're stronger when you have a little nutrition beforehand.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about, is be able to break the muscle down and recover faster.
And so, again, what maybe worked for you when you were 25 or 30 years old is not the secret sauce when we get in midlife.
I'm like, Michelle, let's go for a walk and go to the bakery and have a, stop and go.
Yeah. Oh my God. You and I could go down a whole rabbit hole with this one. But
yeah,
I thought this is interesting because as I was doing my research, what role does forgiveness play in letting go emotionally and to grab that healthy life?
Everything. Holding on to, I see people aging so fast when they hold on to negativity.
Yeah.
And if you see people that I sometimes try to avoid people that have too much negative energy, or I won't be mean, but I'll go away. I'll drift away. I'll see them and they're still, and I had a friend, I used to always be complaining about something, and boyfriend, or always something. And then we met up about 5 years after we had kind of split apart. And it was the same thing. And I'm calling an Uber while we're talking because I'm ready to get the heck out of there, because I thought, and this person used to be beautiful and it ages you so much. And forgiveness can be hard. It's sometimes that little thing that we're mad about, it keeps people alive. I think sometimes some people, the anger keeps them alive, but I think it also makes them even more dreadful. But forgiveness has to be used appropriately. Mm-hmm. Okay, so some things you have to be able to walk away from in life and have a boundary. Otherwise, you can still forgive that person because you may not want to be around them or something, And that is, when I was able to be more forgiving, I felt like I'd finally grown up.
Yeah.
That was probably in my 50s.
And I think sometimes when we carry that with us for so long, it keeps us from living.
It does.
It keeps us from being.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the worst things we can do to ourselves is to hold on to that shit.
It is shit. And life is, and you can let someone, I always say, I don't have to let someone shit on me. I hate to use that word, but I can walk away from that. I don't have to take it either,
Yeah.
We all have that choice.
I'd love to talk a little bit about breath work.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a podcast on breath work with my friend Sandy, and I want to know how you implement breath work into your whole routine.
Oh, I think I'll kind of go backwards in my day because at night, breath work is how I go to sleep. So I'll do a 4-second inhale, 7-second hold, 4-second exhale, and then a little kind of break in between, and then repeat. And that feels a little bit like your heart's going to burst at first when you're not used to it. But once you get used to it and get a rhythm for it, it's very simple, and you hold on to that breath. And when you're holding the breath, you really start to think differently in your head for that 7 seconds too. It starts to really clear things. I think it kind of clears things out. And I fall asleep so easily that way. And that is also after my evening affirmation, which is, I did my best. I was told I did my best today. I'll do better tomorrow. Tomorrow's an opportunity for new life. That's what I'll tell myself almost every night before I go to bed. And if I think I have something that I have to think about that day that maybe I didn't do as well as I should have, I'll think about it and I won't do it. I won't do it again.
Okay.
And then that leads me to be more relaxed. And then the breathing, then I'm asleep in 5 minutes before you know it. And that's kind of backwards. Now during the day, I have to do a podcast or I have to be on live television or something. Couples, just quick inhales. Just kind of get yourself and exhales just to kind of clear the head. I think breathing for me is about bringing stress down and clearing my head and having a open mindset after that. So, important.
Oh, it is very. And you've maintained incredible strength and vitality even at 61, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the core physical practices that you rely on now? And how has that changed since your 40s?
I think the time I spend in the gym is less now than in my 40s. So my 40s is more about refining my physique and my outward appearance. And we're now in my 60s, or late 50s to 60, became my VO2 max, my cardio strength, my ability to ride my bike up steep hills and to keep that going. And then another thing I've always done, and this is kind of a guy thing, is since I was my family was very into fitness, but as a young man, I moved around a lot. I always had a pull-up bar that would go in a door frame. So pull-ups are one of the most important things in my life. And being able to do good pull-ups now at this age is something that I have it's going to take a really hard time for me when it starts to get older, and it's going to be a little harder. As we get older, we don't lose our life vitality, but we lose our force. We're not quite as strong sometimes. They're able to push as fast as we did maybe 10 years ago. So I look at that as my pull-up volume. And then I also do a lot of push-ups too. And I don't do them as much as I used to. I have to take a day off and rest now more sometimes too. Before I could do them every day. I could work out high intensity 6 days a week.
Yeah, but I think, we can't overlook recovery days because I think that's where,
that's what I mean. Yeah.
It's kind of the mental and the physical piece there as well.
Without a recovery day, I would be a mess. And that's what I know now. I tell anybody who's working out now too. Recovery days in between the weightlifting days are, I think, important. But I do believe that everyone, if physically possible, and I talk about this when I'm doing a thing on TV, I'll talk about how to make things accessible to all levels of ability levels, but physically possible to move cardio-wise 40 minutes a day, preferably outside. And that's what you need. It's not the maximum. It's not the minimum. It's kind of the ideal sweet spot for most people is 40 minutes at a pretty intenser heart rate.
Yeah. This week, I have Dr. Vonda Wright, who is orthopedic surgeon, and she talked about at least 45 minutes 3 times a week in zone 2.
Mm-hmm.
You're not breathless to where you can't have a conversation, but you're at a good
Sure,
clip.
often,
Yeah. So I think we're right in line there. I mean,
I think 3 days a week is okay, but I really don't think if you're physically able, I think it's good to do it every day. I really
try
do.
to. I definitely try to.
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah. If I can, like the other day, it was 37 degrees and raining hard in the morning, and I was like, I'm going to go later on to, so yeah.
Yeah, I probably pass on that one too.
Not crazy, not that crazy, but yeah.
Well, and I think this brings up a good question. How can sedentary adults reintroduce movement in a way that builds momentum instead of makes them feel discouraged?
The whole discouragement part is so sad because I think we tend to put such high expectations on ourselves, and I can't, I really have a problem with New Year's resolutions because I think they're just ridiculous. I think it should be something that is a daily mindset thing where you're going to change something. It takes 3 weeks to make a good habit come true. And so to be discouraged, everyone who's physically capable can build every day. So if you can just take I think just a 5-minute walk after each meal is a start. 10 minutes, and then you get to 10 minutes. Go to the mailbox, go down the end of the street and come backwards again. Go for a walk in the woods, which is really good. It doesn't have to be an hour with weights in your hands and you're dead. You have to give yourself a time to make it part of your life. Make it something that you look forward to doing every day.
Yeah.
And I always think walking is the best medicine too. Walking is a natural way to start feeling more confident in ourselves as well.
Oh, and it's free.
It's free everything. Yeah.
That's really good advice.
It's a free therapy session.
So we've talked a lot about your own good habits. Is there another core habit that you don't skip?
We even talked about nutrition, but I really believe that making our own foods and knowing where our food comes from is a really important part of life. And not everyone has access. I have access to so many farmers markets in this city that it's crazy. But I always have this. I make a really big habit on it. If I don't have anything else, sometimes Saturday is the day to get other things done. A Saturday morning for me, and I'm sad now because my farmers market's closed for the winter. my local one. There's another one down the road, but Saturday mornings for me is sort of a ritual. I go for a bike ride. I live near a big park with lots of bike trails, and it's incredibly beautiful. And I do that, and then I ride up to the farmer's market, and then I get my food. But I know all the farmers. I know who's growing my vegetables. I know who gets the meat that I use. I know the apple farmer has 37 different types of apples, and he's doing a study with the University of Pennsylvania. It's kind of an amazing group of people who do this every week. And just being a part of that, and coming home, and I'll share that on a video sometimes what I picked up. And it's an easy way to eat healthy and also have some respect for where our food comes from too. And nutritionally dense foods are so important, and they help. And if we're really thinking even deeper, what I do is I think, what am I doing that day? What foods do I need to enhance that day and make me stronger and feel better and have energy levels that are during the day? And that's one of my big things is eating with a purpose.
Playing it forward, because I think sometimes we eat a couple cookies on an empty stomach, and then we wonder why at 2:00 in the afternoon we're crashing and going for the caffeine and more sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And I always, when I eat something, I think, okay, how am I going to feel after I eat this? And
I do too.
Yeah, I think it's just such a good practice. And the other thing is, if it comes from the ground or has a mother, then that's always a good option to eat, rather than something that comes out of a package.
And to respect what it took to bring that to their table, too. Mm-hmm. I think it's very important. These people that go on these carnivore diets, what kind of quality of meat are they eating every day? And they're not getting a balance. I don't think that's a good way to live at all, but that's just, anybody who wants to challenge me on that, that's fine. I don't believe in it at all.
Yeah.
I think we need fiber. I think we need vegetables. I think we need things to clear and purify our system. And so I'm a big thing about variety of foods. Fruit, I think fruit is it gets a lot of bad rap for having too much sugar. I think you can eat all the fruit you want. That's fine.
Heck yeah.
All the fruit you want. Have a banana. I have bananas all the time. I have organic apples are an essential part of my daily diet, no matter what. When I'm traveling, I get my hotel to get me apples.
Yeah.
To make sure I have them.
Yeah. Organic.
And organic is important. And I'm not always an organic person for everything, but certain things like apples or berries are very important.
Yes. Oh, we're on the same page there. That's
oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's my.
It's like talking to an old friend.
Heck yeah. Yeah. And I often challenge people who have done keto and they're like, oh, but I lost so much weight on keto. I'm like, well, then why are you back talking to me?
Because the weight it is all, they think it's a simple game where they think they can game the system with some kind of trendy thing that happens. And I'm going to, in my business world, there's a group called A4M, which does all the longevity medicine and stuff. And they have a huge conference in Vegas in about 10 days. So I have to go to that. About 6,000 doctors and people who do longevity medicine. And every year, there's a new fad. There's a new fad every year. It's something or other. And I just sort of ignore that. I'm not missing out. There's a fear of missing out. If I don't do this new fad, I'm going to miss out on this thing. And I've just never really prescribed to that. I've always thought, let's just stay with what I think is sensible and what works for me. And as my needs have changed over my lifespan too, we keep talking about being 61. 61, you've learned a long time, but you've also realized that to have that nice smile and to have that happy energy and everything, it takes a little bit of work. It takes a little bit of, it's called self-love.
Yes.
Self-love is not about I love, getting a pedicure is awesome, but self-love to me is not about all the superficial things. It's about our inner needs of what we need and being able to do that without any guilt and not any shame. So
yeah, I love that. I agree. And then for listeners who are ready to reclaim their energy, emotional vitality, what's one ritual they can start today? Morning
affirmation. I want everyone to challenge themselves to say something that's going to make you feel really good every day, that's going to get you through the day. It can be whatever you want. It can be the same thing. Good morning, Michelle. It's going to be a great day. And it's infectious. People start to pick up on that too. If we share that and I think sharing our experiences with others is what it's all about. We're doing a podcast to share our experiences here, but sharing things with others that work. Don't be afraid to raise your voice and say something. Speak up. This is what helps me. I'm always interested in other people's experiences and things that work for them too.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot we can pick up.
It's the importance of community.
Community is so important. It's been my focus all day today. It's been my focus. What I've been thinking about is community, how important that is.
Eric North, where can listeners learn more about your work and connect with you and begin the happiness workout?
Well, I'm on Facebook, which is for a lot of my old friends, but I'm also, my biggest platform is Instagram, and I'm the Happiness Warrior Official. So if you start looking up the Happiness Warrior Official, I'll be on there. I do videos every week, and I try to do it. And I really lately I've been getting a lot of interactions, and a lot of people have been talking back to me, which I love. So
I love that. A great fun. Interaction.
I want more interaction because I want to be able to hear feedback and what makes people happy. Like when I do TV, I have my neighbors. I'll be like, I'm on Channel 5 this week, and watch it, and they'll be like, they'll give me criticism sometimes. Hey, I'd like you to show us a little bit more about for older people, or make it a little bit easier for a disabled person to understand.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels good. Someone's watching me too. I love that. It makes me feel good.
Makes us all feel good, right?
Yeah, it does. It does make me feel
Eric North, I love your passion and enthusiasm. This was such an uplifting conversation, and I would really recommend listeners check out Eric at the Happiness Warrior Official. And thanks for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel like we just got started, but it was so much fun.
Thanks for being here. Thank you for listening. Please rate and review the podcast where you listen. And if you'd like to join the Asking for a Friend community, click on the link in the show notes to sign up for my weekly newsletter where I share midlife wellness and fitness tips, insights, my favorite finds, and recipes.